Okay, mic check 1 2 1 2. JV Wins is here. Dogon SS is here. Thank you everybody for tuning in. Conscious Approach live stream. This is March the 5th. Thank you for joining us here on our little corner of the internet. Do you boys a big old solid. Subscribe to the channel, man. Hit the like button, leave a comment. Let us know what you think about the commentary in this or any other video. We certainly appreciate it. We love kicking that game. Major shouts out to everybody who has recently hit that subscribe button. It's real cool. Much appreciated. Thank you so much for the support as we continue to keep this thing rocking and rolling. We got a few interesting topics to talk about tonight. Um, with that out of the way, we'll go ahead and get started. First up, we are going to discuss a conversation between Lil Yachty and Dr. Umar Johnson. Umar Johnson is undoubtedly a friend of the channel at this point. And he recently joined Yachty on his what is this thing called? A Safe Place. So Yachty has a podcast. It's called A Safe Place. It's booming. He's had people on there like Drake, J. Cole. Umar Johnson was on there and they got into a conversation about BBLs. Now, we have mentioned BBLs on this channel many times, not directly as a topic, but just, various other topics that we will discuss. Inevitably, we might hit on BBLs as an aspect of that particular topic. But I think this is the first time that we have ever discussed BBLs in and of themselves as their own topic. But in order to go ahead and kick this thing off, we'll go ahead and provide some context. So let me go ahead and cue this up real quick. This was Umar Johnson joining Lil Yachty on the A Safe Place podcast. And this was an interesting part of their conversation when they started talking about BBLs and rather more specifically, women's motivation behind the decision to do it. So we'll go ahead and play this, and then we will give our opinions on this conversation afterwards, of course.
All right. So what I was going to say was that I think a lot of women make decisions, A, for themselves, and B, to impress their friends just as much as a man.
Tell me about the. Okay, go ahead.
That's what I'm saying.
You
Like,
said impress their friends.
yeah, I think a lot of women do things to like keep up with their friends and impress their.
Are
Like,
you telling me you think women got the BBLs more to impress their
I didn't
girlfriends
say more.
than to be viewed as attractive as a man?
I didn't say more, but I do think there's
Which
women.
one leads?
Sure.
Which one leads? Impressing the friends.
I think impressive.
or
I
want to
think
be
for
perceived
themselves.
as attractive.
What? I ain't gotta be attractive. I think it's just for self-esteem. I think sometimes women look in the mirror
Did
and
you hear what he just said?
but not
It's for what?
but for them-
Self-esteem,
for themselves,
Yachty.
right, to for themselves though. It don't have to be for another
Okay,
man.
but why is the self-esteem low without the BBL?
Based on your friends.
No, it's based on the values of the culture and the society in which they live. And we got to admit something, black men. We have sexually objectified the black woman into a sexual instrument. And you know why this hurts me? Who's the number one sex trafficking victim in America right now, Yachty?
Okay, so that's pretty much the gist of it because they go on to start talking about, trafficking. We don't need to.
Whoa,
Yeah.
this is a BBL
we don't. We
discussion.
don't. Yeah. We don't need to venture into that territory. So yeah, I felt like those were interesting topics because Yachty is saying that they do it of their. Essentially, what Yachty is saying, I think I don't want to put words into his mouth, but it sounds like he's saying that they do it of their own volition. Women, they choose to get BBLs of their own volition for self-esteem and to get the affirmation of their friends. Whereas Umar Johnson is like, no, it's because they have been sexualized by culture, and that's why they do it. So, what side of the aisle do you fall on this? Do you think that there's a validity to any of them? You think both of them are right? Neither one. The truth is somewhere in the middle. What's your take on that exchange?
I think um I think Yachty's confused. I think Yachty has been, that's what women would say. A woman would say that they're getting it to impress other women, and for self esteem. That's typically the excuse of what a woman says whenever she runs and get one. But key word there, and my thoughts is excuse. and I don't think that's the real reason why they're going to get it. I think it's more in line with Umar's line of thought, um, where it's more of a sexual marketplace kind of thing, where women have been commodified and treated as sexual objects. I wouldn't so much so blame the consumers, who ultimately end up doing it, but I would also say that there was just all forms of entertainment uh, encourages us to treat women as sexual objects in our community. At least I'll speak for that. So, in turn, I believe what ended up happening is that thirst for tricking, that thirst for something quick and easy, microwavable, uh, it turned into a culture of microwavable relationships, transactional relationships. And then when you have that as a dynamic, it's no longer about natural beauty of I have these curves because I can bear children. It's more of I have these curves so you can give me money. And so what ends up happening is that there's just this whole culture now of women who do this for attention, financial gain, amongst other things. So I would say that their self esteem is somewhere tied up in the mix, but the only reason why their self esteem is out of whack is due to, again, the marketplace having its air quote demand, but it's not the marketplace for everyone in our community. It's more or less the mainstream. So I just really think that it's a unfortunate set of circumstances. I don't think it's going anywhere. I thought that breast enhancements, I thought that was going to get played out because that's been out since the '90s, you know, in popularity. And I thought that was going to get played out. It never did. Women are still running and getting those. So for the foreseeable future, man, I don't see BBLs going anywhere, and I think it's a byproduct of over sexualization in the media that in turn plays into an over sexualized mind in men, which in turns creates demand in the market for quick and easy fun. So, what are your thoughts, sir, on Dr. Umar and Lil Yachty? Thoughts on BBLs? What do you feel? How do you feel?
The one thing that I can say right off the bat, in my opinion, is that you know, in the future, whenever we do topics like this, it probably behooves us to have women on here
Mhm.
um, to sort of give their thoughts on this. And we need a women who have them and women who don't, because you can't have one or the other. You need the perspectives of both. But since we didn't do that, obviously, and it's just the two of us,
Sorry
what
to
I
hear
can say, yeah, right? What I can say, what I can say right off the bat is I don't think it has anything to do with them wanting to impress their friends.
that.
So
No.
I think Yachty is way off base in that regard. But I do think he is half right when he is talking about them looking for a mode by which to boost their self esteem.
Hmm.
It's just the reason that they're boosting it, according to him, is incorrect. So he's saying that they are trying to get their self esteem boosted by way of the affirmation that they receive from friends and people close to them who are going to big them up for their look. I don't think it has anything to do with that. I think that they are looking to receive that affirmation and that self esteem from attention from men. That's what they're looking for it for. I don't think it has anything to do with their friends or with anything like that. I think it is attention from men. I think that's the primary driving force or motivation behind their decision to do this. And if I'm going to think that, then the question therein becomes, you know, where are all the men in the world telling women that this is what we want, therefore go out and do that because that's what we want? Like, question for you: do you personally know any guys who go for the BBL look?
No, and they would get exiled if they. Because I don't know what
Like,
else he want.
like I know a lot of people, right? I
Yeah.
know a lot of guys. I know a lot of people, but then I know a lot of guys too. Like I don't know one guy who really goes for that look. I don't really know one guy. So where are all the men who are clamoring for this? You know, I remember I seen a video. I think I mentioned this video on this channel
Mhm.
a while back. It was a video that I seen. It was a nondescript podcast. I don't even remember what the name of the podcast was. It was a video clip that I saw on World Star of this chick who was describing the mentality of a woman who goes for BBLs. And what the girl was saying was, like, why do you resort to getting the BBL? Don't you realize that you can approximate that look naturally by just committing yourself to fitness and exercise and dieting for a whole year? This is what she was saying. So she was like, y'all going out here to get these surgeries and getting your bodies cut up to achieve a particular kind of look, when all you have to do is commit yourself to these things for about a year and you can approximate that same look. But you don't want to do that. Instead, you relent and you go for these BBLs. And why are you choosing to do that? It's not that men are asking for these things, it's because it's a certain type of man that you're looking for the attention from. You're not looking for it from any man or all men. It's a specific type of profile that you're trying to receive attention from. Hence the motivation behind going and doing that. Because like I said, I don't know a guy who likes that. I mean, I know guys who will have a night of fun with it. I don't know a single guy who's going to take it seriously. So where are all of these guys? Like, because I've heard that before. I've heard, well, that's what men like, or we do it because that's what the men want. And I'm thinking to myself, what dudes are you talking about? Like, where are all of these men who like this? It's a certain kind of man that you picture liking this. And that's why Umar ultimately to me is right. It is a form of cultural affirmation. It's a cultural signifier. It has nothing to do with what men want in general, and it has everything to do with the type of messages that you consume on a regular basis and what those messages are telling you men want through the prism of that micro universe. So if you're listening to a certain kind of music all the time, if you're watching a certain kind of TV show all the time, if you are watching particular kinds of movies more often than you should, or it doesn't even have to be entertainment, it can be your feeds. If you're on your feeds all the time and you follow certain types of people, certain types of men that you admire, and you notice that every time you see these guys with a woman, she looks like she has a surgically fixed body. It's like subconsciously you're telling yourself, I need to conform to that standard because my cultural edification is such that that's the kind of profile that I'm looking for in terms of men. And those men are saying that those are the kind of women that they want. And they're even showing us that those are the kinds of men that they want. Now, the problem with that is, and we've talked about that on this channel a lot, that's not real culture. This music stuff is not real. It's not real culture. I'm sorry, guys, but rap and hip hop is not culture. It's entertainment. It's not culture. I know that we have been conditioned to believe that it's culture, but it's not. It's microwavable, consumable entertainment. But because we believe it's culture, Umar Johnson is 100% on the money. It's the culture from which they came. So if the culture from which you come is telling you, based upon the messages that you receive from that culture, that this is what men want, you're going to try to acquiesce to that as much as possible. The problem with acquiescing to something as serious as a surgical augmentation to your body is when you do it based upon a foundation that's not real, a la rap and hip hop and reality TV and all of these kinds of things, which are entertainment, not actual culture. What ends up happening is you're making these huge decisions, these artificial decisions, these fake decisions based upon a foundation that itself isn't real because this isn't real culture. It's entertainment. So I agree with Umar. It is based upon the culture from which they came. Because what does this culture tell these? What do these cultural signifiers tell all of us? That women are sexualized. And it's jumped the shark so much that even the women who participate in that culture reinforce it by doing the same thing. So when a lot of these female rappers talk about how they are, modern day, essentially they're talking about how they are modern day women of the evening. When they're rapping about how their vagina is for sale, they are reinforcing the same tropes from the male equivalent on the other side that's been telling us for 20, 30 years that women are just a cute face in a box. So when you see these guys parading around either on the internet or in their videos, or when you hear them talking about these things in their songs, and you see the kind of women that they're with and they look a certain kind of way, because we have the inability to think for ourselves, here we go trying to conform to those standards. So it's 100% culture. But I will say that Yachty is halfway correct when he talks about self esteem, because I do think for a lot of these types of people, for a lot of these women, they get self esteem from the attention, albeit fake artificial attention, that they get from the individuals who are going to give them attention for looking like this. So they are going to, in a roundabout way, have their self esteem boosted as a result. So that part isn't completely false. But overall, it really is about culture. And I was gonna actually pose the question to you, ethnically speaking, who are the majority of the types of women you see actually trying to do this stuff? But I would imagine what your answer to that question is. And so I think that this is a cultural observation. I think Umar is right. It is a cultural observation. That's not to say it's a one size fits all, because you do see women from other communities doing this stuff. But I guarantee you, in terms of the consumable culture, in terms of the culture that they consume, there are going to be parallels between women from other communities who do these things and women from our community who do them. I guarantee you they watch the same type of movies, listen to the same type of music, and have the same kinds of stuff popping up on their feeds on their phones all the time. So there might be an ethnic divergence there, but in terms of the things that they consume culturally, there's a lot of similarities. So I think that's where it comes from largely. So I think they're both right. Yachty's halfway right. I think Umar is mostly correct. It is all about culture.
Yeah, I say as far as the ethnic part, I of course, a lot of black people do it, a lot of black women do it. But I also see a lot of Hispanic women do it, or yeah, Hispanic, I think I should say it right. Latinas. So they do that a lot, especially you should notice in Miami.
Of
Uh
course. Yeah.
uh now Spanish women can have a naturally curvy body. Yes, they can. But I also see enhancements. It was usually the breast, um 90s 2000s. They were doing that anyway. But then I'm starting to see hips and ass coming from their community as well. Just go to Walmart, you'll see it. So
Yeah.
it's in their community too.
It's
Uh
everywhere. Yeah.
yeah. But um to speak on, do I personally know anybody that is into BBLs? No, I haven't met anybody. But um grab any Insta girls BBL picture model girl. All right. She's got tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of followers. She's getting likes all the time. Women are following her, men are following her. The women are telling her how beautiful she is. The men are saying good morning. Yeah, I love you, and all this other good stuff. You know what I'm saying? Go live, please. All this other stuff.
What's your
And
cash app?
what's your cash app? You know, and she thinks she bad. Everybody sees it. You know, regular girl. Regular build. Don't say that out loud. And then she posts her picture and she's looking nice. She's looking cute, put together. You know what I'm saying? She's trying to show a little skin, but no one's still noticing. She wants that attention. And as you mentioned, so it's an online factor too. But then in person and in public, yeah, what kind of catch are you trying to get? Some girls don't even know what they're trying to catch. They just want to look bad. So it's a lot of dynamics on it. Basically, BBL culture is no different than thugging culture. And so whenever you meet a young man from a good, well-to-do community or whatever, and he's out here trying to bang and saying gang every other sentence, and it's like, come on, bro, what are you doing? You know, doing his best Slim Jesus impersonation, just embarrassing himself. And why is he doing that? Some of these guys crash out and go to jail, and they weren't a lick of tough. But what? So as you mentioned, as Umar mentioned, it's a part of whatever artificial culture this is. And these are byproducts of years, decades of massaging the brains of people. So it becomes an automated thing. And last point, kind of like when you say Yachty's off base in his premise of they're doing it to impress their friends, he is off base if he simply thinks that's what it is. But there's a degree of trying to impress their friends that the girls are trying to do too, or just impress their friends or other girls. And it's the competitive side in every woman, because all women are competitive. They hate each other. And so, not really, but they do. And they're always competing against one another, trying to be the best, trying to be the baddest. You know, who's got the best skin regimen? You know, who's got the best this? Who's got the best that? That's why he getting his men ain't paying attention to nails, eyebrows. We ain't doing that. I know I don't, at least. Mm-hmm. And then whenever she gets them done, I have to make snap back. She got them done. I have to mention, you got your nails done? Oh, okay. Oh, okay. I gotta fake that. I don't give a shit.
Couldn't care less.
I don't care. So there is an element that these girls are out here. It's basically no different than, you know what I'm saying, if you're on a court and you hooping, you just trying to let everybody else know you get buckets, during a warm-up. Hey, bro, I get buckets, bro. It's the same type of flex of, you know what I'm saying, I get dudes, or I could pull your man. It's that's going on too. So with that element that's already naturally in women, because that was here before BBLs and internet. Now with all of this extra stuff that's going on, there's juicers. There's girls doing Balco out here. So these girls out here trying to juice, trying to compete in the marketplace. But who created this marketplace in the first place? So this stems back to the artificial culture that people have been consuming for over sexualization. The humans are already sexual enough as it is. We don't need every song and every video to be either talking about love or everything else in between. So yeah, man, interesting conversation here. I just think it's more of the women's version of guys sagging pants and all this other stuff. This is the inverse operation of that. And this is how
that's 100% correct. We basically pinpointed that, like, vagina rap is the other side of the coin of trap rap.
Right.
So, it, like, vagina rapping is women's trap. That's women's cocaine and bricks, is them talking about their sex game in their box and, their, fellatio game and how good they look. It's the opposite side of the same coin, but it's all based upon an artificial culture that isn't real, is the thing.
Correct.
Because any sort of culture that is rooted in hypersexualization, I mean, sexualization is a part of human existence, of course, but the hypersexualization of it from a commercialized standpoint is artificial. It's not real.
Correct.
Hence why the byproduct of that, or at least one of the byproducts, is body types that aren't real, fake. And two points real quick. When you mention like the Latino community, they do it too. That's 100% correct. But like I said before, oftentimes there are similarities with respect to the consumption of the type of things that those people consume. So, like, what I've mostly seen, and it's not all, but most of the instances that I've seen of, like, Latino women, for example, who do it, like I said before, they largely listen to the same kind of music that we do, and they watch a lot of the movies that we do, and they consume a lot of the same content on the internet that we do. There's outliers, but for the most part, I think that there's a crust in the middle of the type of things that are going to come your way and sort of get fed into your brain that make you more likely than not to make those kinds of choices, to do those kinds of things. And then the other thing that I was going to say something else too, but I forgot what my last point was.
Oh, good.
Oh, when you brought up the point about being on the court, and you want to show that you can get buckets. Like when you're on the court and you want to show that you can get buckets, yeah, you want to show that you can get buckets, but there is an end goal to that, which is winning the game.
Yeah.
So I think for them, yeah, they're trying to get buckets, but there's also winning the game too. And I
Yeah.
think the primary way that you win the game in this respect is by being able to, at least on a regular enough basis, like claim or get the attention of the kind of men that you're looking to get the attention from. I kind of feel like within those circles, whoever is garnering the most attention in that respect, the dude with the biggest bag, the dude who's the tallest, or the dude who has the most social cachet, or the dude who has all of the above, whichever one of them can amass the majority of the attention therein based upon the work that they put in through these various means such as BBLs, I think that they look at that as winning, the same way that we look at actually winning the game as winning on a basketball court. I don't know if any of that made sense, but it's kind of like my way of trying to bring home the idea of the motivations behind these things. I mean, we never do things for the sake of doing it. There's always a point behind it, and the point is to win. So the question is, what is the winning in that? And I do think that, in my opinion, the winning in this BBL thing derives from like the kind of attention from men that they're looking for, the kind of attention from the kind of men that they are looking for. I think if you take that away, I think for a lot of them, if you tell them, hey, listen, after you do this, you're not going to really get attention from the kind of men that you're looking for. Your life is pretty much going to stay the same. Not that that happens, because their life doesn't stay the same. But I'm just trying to make my point that if you were to say that, hey, listen, after you do this, nothing's really going to change in your life in terms of men. It's pretty much going to stay exactly the same. I think that's a lot of them might not do it, because I think so few of them actually do it purely for the attention from other women as a self-esteem booster.
Yep. Hey, tell me you got low self-esteem without telling me you got low self-esteem. That's why it's unattractive to me. And if you think that plastic or whatever the hell they injected inside of you, cement in some cases, if you think that's what makes you look beautiful, then you've already lost the game over here. So, hey
Well, I
man,
mean,
that's
those,
natural ladies. Keep it natural.
yeah. Well, the thing about it at the end of the day is, and I have actual personal experience with this, so I'll speak for myself because I've experienced with this. The kind of chicks who get BBLs don't really give a damn about the perspective of guys like us anyway. So they have nothing to lose. They don't give a damn. Who cares?
Exactly.
They're not checking for me or you anyway. So who
Right.
gives a shit what our opinion is? But it ain't got nothing to do with. I don't think it has anything to do with any. I think it is self-esteem, but I think it's rooted in culture, not purely because like self. You do. You get into extracurricular activities, and you exercise, and you spend time with family, and you learn a new skill. Like those are the kinds of things that you do to actually intrinsically boost your self-esteem, not to get a fake ass. But
2024, baby.
yeah.
Yeah.
Shouts out to all the ladies out there with BBLs.
Yeah, my bad. I wasn't judging you like that. Hit like and subscribe.
Shouts out to Yachty and Umar too.
Chill.
Hilariously, now this might be something that does not resonate with any of the Gen Zers. But if you are millennial or older, you know about Chappelle's show. And one of the infamous skits on Chappelle's show was when Dave Chappelle parodied Making the Band. And what made the skit so funny was that he actually had the members of Making the Band in the skit, except for the guy that we are talking about. This guy, Dylon. Dylon Dillinger was his name. And many, many years after this infamous Making the Band skit, in which Dave Chappelle acted in place of Dylon in that skit, Dylon is coming out saying that that skit effectively ruined his career. That's what Dylon is claiming here, that Dave Chappelle ruined his career as a result of what was a very, very funny skit, in my opinion. So we'll go ahead and we're gonna let Dylon speak his piece. We're gonna let Dylon speak his piece, man. Dylon had a lot to say here. So we'll hear Dylon kind of go off mad about Chappelle because we think that there's more to this than just him ranting about how Chappelle ruined his career.
David Chappelle said the top 5 rappers are Dylon. We're well experienced. I never said that. Now, now, again, we could talk about the joke all day, but this is We Are Flatbush.
That's a fact.
And I gave you my history.
That's a fact.
So let's talk for real. When they did that, again, now, all the people that he made fun of, he made the quote, or when comedians do these jokes, they say something that you said, and then they bust it and put it in their own way.
They remix it.
But this is something that I didn't say at all. So I have no control over this. You said I'm top 5 rappers. You said I spit hot fire. And I'm over here as a kid saying, what are they talking about?
Oh, come on.
But right after, anytime I send my music to DJs, they say, oh, that's the nigga that David Chappelle made fun of. Now I'm good on that. Not only that, but every promoter says, nah, we're not booking him. So now I have a newborn and the fridge is empty.
Oh, come on.
In
man.
2005, I'm empty. No one is calling me. Everyone is laughing. This is legend now. This is I'm legend now. Now I'm legend. I'm fucked up for what you just did. And you're not answering the phone.
Oh, man.
No one is answering the phone. So everybody said, oh, you're busting out, man. You've gone through, man. You make it. How? When at that time, no one picking up their phone, not a one label. And at that time, you had to sign to a record label, not one label. And I know all of them. So I'm calling them direct. They're like, I can't help you. That joke, gone by. That joke took over.
That joke burned your career.
The joke actually burned it. At that time, I couldn't do nothing.
Look, this is not what I got in the music business to be doing, to be a sugar.
Oh man, I would really, really love to continue playing the skit, but I don't know if Comedy Central got one of those copyright,
Yeah.
strangleholds on YouTube. So I don't want to risk that one. But yeah, man, shouts out to Marcus Dudley on the chat. I hear you on that, man. A guy like Dylon trying to explain how comedians are supposed to do what they do is funny. But there's some sour grapes here. So this guy feels like this skit adversely affected his career. And what's worse is Chappelle didn't appear interested in trying to help him pick up the pieces in the aftermath. Now this sounds like sour grapes to me, but what say you, man? What's going on with this guy? This is like literally 20 years later with this, and he thinks that this is what ended him, is the skit.
I mean, this is like level 5 emotional trauma. The yelling, the making us want to sympathize with, his struggles and all of this. Like, he's really digging into the victim thing, and apparently he's been the victim for 20 plus years, or almost 20 years. So yeah, this is deep rooted, man. I was shocked listening to him. I thought it was more of a, yeah, he closed the door, it kind of closed the door on me, but it was deeper than that for him. It was just, he became a joke. Honestly, a meme before memes. So because the only thing you have to do is just show this image of Dave Chappelle holding up 5. Everybody knows exactly what name he's saying. So that's how this guy was a meme before a meme. And yeah, I can only imagine what that does to a young person while they're developing, trying to get on. It may have felt like an attack. So yeah, it seems as though he interpreted it, took it the wrong way initially, and then ran with that. I like to look at, the brain as like compartments, rooms. And when you make a decision in your mind, either a thought or an actual decision you make, you venture off into another room, which has another chamber of hallways and doors. And every time you make a decision, you just tail off into another existence, if you will. He had an option when this first came out to play it cool and laugh it off and boss up and lay into it.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the option of playing victim. They're trying to sabotage my career. He destroyed me. I'm hungry. They destroyed my life. He picked that door and kept going through every corridor. When they put the camera in front of him, we heard echoes from all those rooms. That's why I was like, oh my goodness, this is deep. So this is 20 years of him being in the wrong area. So this is a good luck trying to tell Dylon to take a chill pill on this. This is 20 years of trauma. So me personally, do I feel like it ruined his career? No. We still know his name. And it's not necessarily from making a band, but yeah, that too, but also this and other things. But it was still a thing of y'all cool. And this is comedy. Like, what are we doing? So I never looked at him as an embarrassment. If he decided to come out with more music and it was tough, I wouldn't have batted an eye and whatever. I still listen to Ness, Ness. He be freestyling still. He be snapping on freestyles. So he still snap. You know what I'm saying? And one quick story, I'll let you go. So back in the day, man, back in the MySpace days, bro, I was crazy on the graphic arts. So I was doing like mixtape covers for people, charging them or whatever. And I was trying to get big names and stuff like that. So I did stuff for like Ace Hood and Cool and Dre. It's pretty live. And then Chopper City, Young Chopper, whatever his name was on there, the boy from New Orleans. I was like, hey, bro, you know what I'm saying? Whoop-de-whoop. I shot him some stuff that I do. And he was like, oh, yeah, I bet. I can use that. I'm like, all right, you know what I'm saying? So whoop-de-whoop. And then he was like, I was like, all right, it's going to be this much. I think it was like $60. It was cheap. It was like $60 for this, whatever. And then he was like, oh, no, I was trying to get that for free. It's like, come on, man. They ain't give you no money on MTV. Hindsight, I don't think these dudes got paid. That's why this boy refrigerator was empty. And this kid hungry. I ain't laughing at that, but them boys didn't get paid for that. And Diddy doing the math on your life, you ain't getting nothing. So I get it, man. Bro's been hurting for 20 years, and he thinks it's Dave Chappelle's fault. I think it was a bad decision made in his brain. So what about you, sir? What are your thoughts? Dylon, spitting hot fire or spitting hot trash?
Yeah, this is Dylon is from our generation. He's a millennial guy. And one thing about our generation that I think sucks is we do have a propensity to not let go of perceived past traumas. And we are always the first ones to blame somebody else for where our life is instead of accepting responsibility. I think that there's too much of that going on in the world. Like, own up to it, accept some accountability, shift your paradigm, and make changes for the better because it's within your power to be able to do that. And his reluctance to do that, but instead blame Dave Chappelle, to me is indicative of a problem with our generation of skirting accountability. First of all, and this is going to be I was actually going to say this. Had he been wise enough, he would have leaned into this and used it to extend his career.
Exactly.
Like this thing was so hilarious, and the life on this joke was so far extended into the future that you could have taken advantage of this for at least the next 10 to 15 years, where you could have just been the guy who was Dylon, and just taking advantage of that because clearly your music career was not going to be able to sustain itself long term. And if that joke is the reason why your career effectively ended, then why didn't Wayne Brady's career end when he was the subject of a joke on Chappelle's show? Why didn't Prince's career end? Now, granted, Prince is a legend, but still, why didn't Prince take a hit on his career as a result of that show? Rick James, why didn't Rick James take a hit as a result of that show? Why didn't RZA and Jizza and the rest of you Wu-Tang who was on Chappelle's show take a hit as a result of being on that show? John Mayer, the list goes on and on. Kanye, Mos Def, Yassine Bey, all of these people who were parts of jokes on Chappelle's show who didn't seem to miss a beat as a result of being a part of this show. And some of those jokes were infamous too. They weren't merely them becoming more famous as a result. Some of those jokes were infamous too. Yet those individuals, the ones who are still with us, of course, continue to thrive. The reason why they continue to thrive is because they actually had true talent and something that they could offer to the world that could sustain itself. And Dylon, sir, you didn't. If you were an actual artist, maybe you would have been able to stand the test of time beyond what happened on that show. But because you're somebody who was limited in terms of what you could do with respect to your artistry, there was a ceiling on your potential. And I would argue that there was a ceiling on the rest of those people's potential. And I mean, yes, signing with Diddy Puff is almost like, that signing with Diddy Puff is almost like taking a pocket knife, cutting your finger open, and signing a contract in blood, right? Like once you sign on this thing, bro, it's over with, So I'm willing to extend that much of a courtesy, but beyond that, like, I think it was, and saying lack of talent is harsh. It sounds harsh, but I don't know any other way to say it. But I think that his lack of talent has more to do with his inability to put food in his refrigerator for his newborn than being a part of Chappelle's show. Because if anything, being on Chappelle's show, or he wasn't on the show, he was the subject of a joke on the show. But I think being the subject of that joke extended you more than it hurt you, if you ask me, because I don't think anyone knows about him outside of that skit. So like I said, you could have parlayed that into future career opportunities for yourself, albeit in a more comedic space. And for whatever reason, he chose not to do that. But I think the lack of talent has more to do with this than anything else. But again, when you are someone, and there's many of us out here in the world who are like this, and that's the bigger takeaway from this particular topic. When you are an individual who can't see the forest from the trees and doesn't understand the importance of personal accountability, you will find anybody to blame for your problems. And then you'll never be able to overcome them because you're constantly looking for others to help bring you out of your problems instead of you pulling yourself up and riding yourself out of your problems yourself. So he's a symptom of that, unfortunately for him. And shouts out to him in that clip with the CDs and the CD player and the boombox and the speakers in the background. That's a mad throwback. I appreciate that. But otherwise, this has nothing to do with being a part of Chappelle. If anything, being a subject on Chappelle helped him more than it hurt. And I think that the way his career inevitably played out has more to do with his talent or lack thereof.
Yeah, I think we can fact check on the Wayne Brady thing because I did a little light stuff, but somebody can fact check us. But I think Wayne Brady was salty about the Brian Gumble joke.
He was salty about the joke. Yeah, he was salty about but no. But okay, so what happened was just a little history on Chappelle's show. So the reason why Wayne Brady ended up being on the Chappelle show skit himself is because in the first season, what's the comedian's name? Paul Mooney. Paul Mooney had a skit, Negrodamus. And one of the jokes that Paul Mooney did on the Negrodamus skit was Wayne Brady makes Brian Gumbel look like Malcolm X. So Wayne Brady felt some type of way about that. It was hilarious, by the way. But Wayne Brady felt some type of way about that. But because Wayne Brady's actually a talented dude. So he hit up Chappelle and he was like, hey man, what's up with that joke? And they talked it out. And that's what ended up getting Wayne Brady to be on the show himself, where it was basically a parody of Training Day. Because the idea is, since you want to tell me that I make Brian Gumbel look like Malcolm X, let's do a skit where I'm this gritty dude who's out here killing people and murking people. And that was the point behind that. So initially he was salty because of the Paul Mooney thing, but he came around and that's what ended up bringing him onto the show to be a part of the skit himself.
No, right on. And but I think it was like more recent news. So it was like 2021 where it was saying that he still felt some type of way about that. So that's what I'm saying, that for the internet peoples that look into those things, because I did a little slight thing and it confirmed that something recently came out about that, but I don't know how real that is or what have you. But that's the only one, because that was a hell of a joke though. That was a great burn. And shout out to Paul Mooney, man, phenomenal comic. But yeah, when it comes to Dylon, he did have a bit of a stigma on him on the show to be somebody that was not cooperative, somebody that was being a bit of a diva. So that's what made the joke even funnier, was because it was so outrageous. So did you say that verbatim? No, but you said that with all of your actions. And that's what made the joke so funny. On top of that, I don't know if it's real or not, but I think he really did get into a scuffle with Wyclef Jean. And if you did, bro, you out of pocket. The man's a legend. And especially at that time when he was just, ascending, and settled into the space of Grammy Award winning type of dude. And you sitting there, beefing with him in there because you spit hot fire? No. So that's what made this joke so funny back then. It just hung around because, well, it's iconic. It's a great joke. It was a great bit. And like you said, the ceiling for everybody in that camp was low. They could have played it somehow, some way, but I still don't think people understood the gravity that Diddy has. He will not allow your career to fly, period. Young Jock is the only person Young Jock and Mase are the only people that have transcended Diddy. Everybody else is under his footprint. You know what I'm saying? Especially 112, because they're a legendary group that they could have kept making music, but I felt like they got held back by Diddy. Amongst
he hoses that. Diddy is a professional hoser. That's what he does better than anyone else. He hoses people.
Yeah, so this guy didn't really have much of a shot anyway. So the ceiling, as you mentioned, wasn't that high in the first place. So, but he could have still maximized on that limited ceiling instead of going into his hermit, cave and pouting. And that's what I said. This interview, this release session that he had, with this interviewer. I mean, you should have said this to your therapist on the couch. With all of that frustration, maybe you wouldn't be so frustrated about this now. And last thing I'll say is that for people that, if there is anything that anybody is running around hollering that they're a victim about, nah, granted, you know what I'm saying? There's some stuff that you really didn't have any control over. I get that. But there's a lot of things in life that people don't have control over. That happens to people. So life is all about how you react to the stimuli that's given to you, whether it's positive or negative. So this guy here received a perceivable negative stimuli and took it all the way negative. So my point to anybody that's watching this is that whenever you do receive something, whether you feel as though it should give you adoration or embarrassment, you should measure it all the same way. And that's why I always say don't be too high, don't be too low. Because if you allow yourself to measure yourself on those extremes, you can end up not tapping into your potential like Dylon did. So hopefully he does something with his life and gets out of that woe is me state that he's in. But to me, it was comedy gold and he could have played off of it, but he chose not to. So sad case, man.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna go watch this after this, by the way. So.
Yeah, I'm gonna look into that Wayne Brady thing. I had not heard that. Because that I'll be disappointed if that is true. Because, dude, y'all hashed it out and came to an understanding. Now, 20 years later, you want to say you still got a problem with it? To me, that's weak. But with respect to Dylon, I just think the cream always rises to the crop. Granted, Diddy is Diddy, but like you said, when you can make things happen, you can transcend above certain things, right? The point of the matter is, like, people need to be responsible for holding themselves accountable for certain things. And unless you're going to tell me that there was a stipulation in his contract which prevented him from being able to, take advantage of being a subject of a joke in that skit, being the subject of a joke, in that skit, then I feel like that was the perfect avenue with which to extend his career. And he just didn't do it, whether for foolish pride or because he didn't have the foresight to see that that was a move that he needed to make. In either scenario, that's accountability that he is going to have to reconcile on his part, because no one made that decision but himself. So unless he was literally contractually barred from doing that, which is possible, but unless that is the case, bro, you got to hold yourself accountable for that. And all of us out here in these streets, we need to be accountable for these things. I can blame my parents and my previous employers and my bosses and my college classes and professors. If I wanted to, I could find an unlimited supply of people and entities to blame for whatever I got going on in my life. And if I chose to do that, I would continue to blame until I died, because that's what happens. You never figure a way out of it because you spend so much time trying to understand who's responsible. Sometimes no one's responsible. Sometimes you just got to fix it. And I think for him, he needs to just fix it. He just needs to fix it.
Yep.
I know that that's easier said than done, and I'm not trying to engage in righteous indignation. I'm not above this. I'm in the boat as well, but I understand that, like, it's accountability for me. I need to fix it instead of saying it was you who did this and you who did that and this who did and this that did that. Like, that's a waste of time.
Agreed. 1,000.
But yeah, good luck to Dylon. I hope you figure it out, bro. Classic bit. If I were you, I'd be hitting up the phone. I'd be getting on the phone, calling up Chappelle and seeing if y'all could do a part 2 of that somehow. Get on one of his Netflix specials.
Yep. And if I were you, Dylon, I'd hit like and subscribe, bro.
Friend of the channel, Mase. Friend of the channel. Mase is a friend of the channel, man. Mase, on a recent episode of It Is What It Is with Cameron, touched on Tom Brady and Gisele Bündchen. Now, for anyone who is unaware, it is being speculated that Gisele Bündchen was in a relationship with her trainer while she was still married to Tom Brady. Now, whether that was a catalyst for them eventually becoming divorced, I'm not sure. I don't think that is public knowledge. But what is public knowledge is that she had this trainer well before they got divorced. They ended up getting divorced, and now she is with the trainer. Those are facts. And so Mase has some thoughts on this. And of course, we got some thoughts on what Mase had to say, or rather, our thoughts on this particular situation. So, Mase has some advice for men in general, using Tom Brady in this situation as a case study. So, we're going to provide a little context here, real quick. This says Mase is someone who does not mince words when he feels a particular way about a topic. In fact, recently he has been able to speak freely on his show, It Is What It Is. Overall, the show with Cameron has been a massive success. They talk about a plethora of sports topics, and they will even move the conversation to pop culture if they have to. Most recently, they spoke on the Tom Brady rumors regarding Gisele Bündchen. It was alleged that she was cheating on Brady with her personal trainer, and as you can imagine, Mase had a lot to say on this. In fact, the artist issued a warning to men with girlfriends and wives. Essentially, he said to be wary if a woman ever hires a male personal trainer. So those are some quotes, but we don't need to read the quotes here. We'll just go ahead and play the clip.
Whenever you break up with somebody, it's like a death. You go through the grieving process. You get angry. All of those things. That's just what they say, you know. But to say that he finally realized she's cheating, did he not know before? Killer, what do you think? Did he not know she was cheating before? Let me tell you, fellas, something. If the girl, before you go, Killer, if the girl got a trainer, number one, like she could have got a female trainer. So the fact that she got a male trainer is already kind of like a red flag. And if he wear those kind of pants, pause that are like the dry fit Nike pants, you know what I'm talking about, Killer? That's really tight. And then he want to wear the shirt, pause. The shirt you want to probably smash it because he's constantly telling her, go down, get up, go deeper. You know what I'm saying? So in her mind, she's used to hearing him say all of this. It's going to be almost like he's planning Brady's demise by doing this. Just think about this. Go deeper. Go down. Let me stretch you. All this. And he constantly saying this. He's setting up. Look, Stat is laughing. Put the camera on Stat.
I'm laughing for different reasons. I'll let y'all.
All right. So that was good stuff there. And just for a little more on this, real quick. So this is from page 6. Says Tom Brady reportedly has accepted ex-wife Gisele Bündchen's romance with Joaquin Valente began. Well, he's accepted ex-wife Gisele Bündchen's romance with Joaquin Valente began years ago. According to the Daily Mail, the former NFL star is learning to adapt to the new dynamic his family is now in after Page 6 exclusively reported that the supermodel and her jiu-jitsu trainer were a couple and are, quote, deeply in love. Tom has been dating and is all about growing from his relationship with Gisele and moving it to a place where they can co-parent. Though an insider told people that Bündchen and Valente did not begin dating until June 2023, 8 months after Brady and the mom of two finalized their divorce, the former Tampa Bay Buccaneers quarterback reportedly isn't buying her timeline. If she wants to have people think she has been dating Joaquin only since June, so be it. But they have been together longer and they aren't taking it slow. Tom has accepted it, the source told Daily Mail. So at least what is being reported publicly is Brady believes at least that this is something that was taking place long before they became divorced in the first place. It's just more appropriate for them to go public with it now because they are officially no longer married. And then you saw what Mase had to say there about your wife or your girlfriend or your woman getting a male trainer and how that's a red flag. So what say you on this particular situation? You ride with what Mase had to say?
Now, oh yes, I agree with that. And again, man, this guy, he really is a preacher. He's a man of the people. What Kyrie said, a voice for the voiceless, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, man, listen. So man, I hate what this world's become. I can't even say what I want to say without having to caveat and qualify my way through it. So I'm gonna just say it straight up. Hopefully people just catch on. All right, so I agree with his premise here. All right, I believe in a perfect world that a woman who is married to a man would have the respect to not have a male trainer. Now, I understand that male trainers are just doing their jobs, stretching them, working them out, encouraging them, everything that your husband should be doing. So I get it. They're just doing their jobs. But I'm sorry. If you're going to have a trainer, ma'am, if you want to do this respect thing, if you want me to respect you, please respect me. Don't have a male trainer. No, I'm not being insecure. Shit happens. So it's crazy I had to say that. I didn't even want to go there, but shit.
Well, because that's what they'll tell you is that if you can't handle it, you're insecure, right?
That's what I'm saying. Sorry that I'm sad that I even have to qualify this. It's all about respect, though. Because women love to holler them things, but if roles were reversed, I love to do that. If roles were reversed, and so if you have a masseuse person, chiropractor, female, somebody doing your hair, female, yeah, sorry, just respect my set. And honestly, I don't really feel like this is a hard request. Maybe I might have a hard time with the eyebrows. I be hearing stuff, they be wanting to go to guys because they be arching crazy. But everything else, man, it's one of them things where I still feel like it's one of those things where, hey, just respect the set. Just go get a woman, go whoop-de-whoop, you know what I'm saying? Do your thing, and then come on back home. There's a science to what he was talking about as far as giving her commands. This is the last thing I'll say, and I'll let you go. But the one more stretch, stand up. All right, get over there, run over here. One thing that he's doing is being a leader or whatever, but he's dictating to her. I don't know how far the etymology goes on this, but the word dictate has the word dick in it. and what's going on there is when you dictate to a woman, she loves to take orders. That's why women are great in the corporate space. Oh, here he goes with his misogyny. And it's just like, look, the corporate space is all about following rules, following laws. The school system is all about following rules and following laws. Women like to follow things. It's not a bad thing. It's just a trait of a woman. That's one of their superpower attributes. They like to listen and follow instructions. So that's why they excel in all of these areas. So when she goes to a personal trainer and he's telling her what to do, they spend so much time together. They talk about problems like a cab driver. Like they be talking like a therapist. So it's one of those situations where it could get a little too close. So Mase, I agree with his premise here. It's just one of those things where if we're playing the respect game, and look, it even happened to Tom Brady, y'all. Mm-hmm. Captain America.
Yes.
All right. Arguably the greatest football player ever in many circles. You know what I'm saying? Endorsements, wealth, he's got it all. Now, granted, she's got it all too, financially at least. But still, it's one of those situations where you can be all-American Captain America, man, and still have this happen to you if you don't follow the right protocols. Protocol here. I'm sorry, you're going to a gym? Okay. Who's your trainer? Okay, yeah. What's his name? Eduardo. What's his suave ass name is?
Joaquin.
Joaquin, the jujitsu. No, you're not seeing him. All right, go to Susan over there next to the water cooler. So what are your thoughts, sir, on Mace's sermon? Do you agree that she crossed the line just by even having a male trainer? or do you think that's a little archaic?
Nah, I'm with you. But as we have talked about on this channel many times, in the modern society, men are not allowed to have standards or principles. Only women are. Whenever a man tries to suggest where he draws the line in the sand, that becomes unacceptable because it's an indication of your insecurity and your lack of manhood and fortitude. You should be okay with whatever it is that I want. That's the true sign of a strong man, is to be okay with me having this male trainer who does want to smash. And see the thing about and see the thing about it is, you was that last topic or this, I think it was this topic, when you said in a perfect world, right? So in a perfect world, men have a code. And well, I don't know why Siri chimed in. In a perfect world, men have a code that they live by. One of those codes being, you don't mess around with another man's woman. Like, in a perfect world, men understand and honor that code. In 2024, men do not understand and honor that code. So you can have a guy who knows you, who knows your girl, and if your girl steps to him, he will take advantage of the opportunity. He will. I don't trust these guys because these guys don't have a code. Like, honestly, unless I know you from, I have to really know you. Like, it would have to be you or D Money or McCall or my or Lataris or one of the men in my family, or you got to be a guy who comes from a generation, like, you got to be a baby boomer, you got to be 60 plus for me to truly believe that you honor said code. But if you're just a dude and I don't know you and you're an acquaintance, no, bro, I don't trust you. You will sleep with my girl. You will. Because these dudes don't care. They don't care. They'll do it. So, all of these women walking around out here who want to call a man out for being insecure because he has an issue with his woman having a male trainer, calling a guy insecure, that guy will sleep with you. He will. He will. So I'm the insecure. Yeah, and they know it. So I'm the insecure one because I know that this guy will have sex with you if given the opportunity. These guys are not trustworthy. Men do not have a code that they live by.
You're insecure because you know that he'll have
yeah.
sex.
How dare I know this? And see, that's one of the primary problems that men are afflicted with nowadays, is the lack of a code to stand by. No principles, no ethics, no morals. I'll sleep with your girl knowingly. These dudes don't give a damn. So of course I don't want you doing it unless I know this dude and I can vouch for him and I trust. That's a very strong word. I don't use that word lightly. Trust that he will not betray me. I'm going to take those measures because that's my responsibility as someone who is trying to preserve the sanctity of this relationship. That's my job. If you can't respect that, we have no problem. We have no reason being together in the first place. Honestly. And like you said, this is Tom Brady. If it can happen to Tom Brady, who can't it happen to? That's how you know there's no code. You don't think this guy was training Gisele in the house that they own together?
I was gonna say, he violated, bro. This guy violated, man.
Yeah. Talk about being a line stepper.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm with Mase all the way. At least based upon, the various aspects of this story that are being played out publicly, I understand what Mase is talking about. It doesn't fly. If we lived in simpler times where men were more trustworthy and stood on principle, I can understand this notion that a man should be okay with these sorts of things. But we don't live in those times anymore. If these guys detect in even a remote scintilla of issues going on between a dude that he knows and his girl seems even remotely vulnerable, he's going to explore the possibility at least. At least. I'm not going to risk that. No way, no how. And yeah, it's like, well, if you holding it down and you really trust your girl, you should know that she ain't gonna take it there. No, that's not her job. That's my job. That's my responsibility.
Right.
Period. So this stinks all the way around. And the last thing that I'll say before I kick it back to you, it's stories like this that inform me on why ultimately I had to train my brain on not feeling badly whenever I broke it off with a girl, whenever I broke it off with a chick, a woman, whatever you want to call her. Like back when I was younger, I used to really feel guilty whenever I broke up with somebody because she's all upset. We ain't together no more. She's crying, going through all of this shit. And I feel guilty. It's like, damn, I really did mess this girl up psychologically. She felt like we was going to be together, right? I really used to feel bad about that. And as I got older and I started to do this more often, I realized I really don't have a reason to feel bad. Like, what are the things that I should actually feel bad for? Like, did I actually cheat on you? Did I abuse you physically and mainly physically? Because what's emotional? I don't know. But did I abuse you mentally and emotionally? Did I actually cheat on you? Did I give you an STD? Right? Did I do any of those things? If the answer is no, 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 all I'm feeling guilty for at the end of the day is I disappointed your expectations. I hurt your feelings. And the reason why I stopped caring about that is because I realized at the end of the day, these women are going to bounce back much faster than me anyway. So why should I care? Like, these women all got guys that they're communicating with on a regular basis. The minute that you're not with somebody anymore, here comes the next guy up to bat. They always have options. They always rebound faster than us. Always, always. So ultimately, even though it didn't work out between me and her, it's going to work out with the next guy in all likelihood. You already have in mind who the next guy is in the event that your current situation doesn't work out. You know who this person is. You communicate with them on and off right now as it is anyway, despite the fact that
you talking too loud, bro. You talking too
I'm
loud.
just saying, despite the fact that you're with me, you're already talking to this guy on and off as it is. Am I wrong or am I right about this?
Hey man, this is
So
all
at the end of the day, I had to stop caring about violating her expectations because she's going to rebound faster than I am. The next guy is going to come around for her quicker than the next girl will come around for me. So what is there truly for me to be guilty about when I really truly didn't damage her? There is no reason for Gisele Bündchen to have any sympathy in this regard. She's already rebounded. Now, granted, we're talking about Tom Brady. He is Captain America, so he's already been doing his thing with models and all of that kind of stuff. But in the macro sense, in terms of how these types of situations generally play out for people not named Tom Brady and Gisele Bündchen, she's always going to rebound much quicker than you. And it don't got to be the trainer. It can be her accountant. It can be her gynecologist. It can be her dentist. It can be her doctor. It can be the dude who served her food last week at the restaurant. These dudes are all over the place, waiting in the woodwork to pounce on their opportunity as soon as they see an opportunity.
Savage.
So what reason is there for me to really feel bad about any of this stuff? So I feel, at the end of the day, if this alleged stuff turns out to be true, I feel for Brady because I'm also always going to feel for the guy who, got ran roughshod in the aftermath of a divorce, even though he can bounce back because Tom Brady plays by different rules than JV wins, of course. But at the end of the day, it looks as though she had her ace in the hole. And because she had her ace in the hole, I don't give a damn how the fallout of their divorce plays out. She had her ace in the hole. She's good. Just like so many of these other women out here in these streets have their ace in the hole. And so ultimately they'll be good too.
Yeah, man, this is some wild stuff, bro. New agery. You can't. It's hard to maneuver, bro. The sanctity of things
it doesn't exist.
It's not there, bro. And it's just way too many options. I saw somebody on social media mention this. Forgot a dude's name, but it's just way too many options. And hell, I mentioned this before. It's just like, hey man, Paw, or grandpa, grandma, they made it so long. They did their thing, married for X amount of years. Woo, woo. Grandpa was still stepping out, most likely. He was still probably doing his thing. But they're still together. They held it down. Woo, woo, woo. But it was all I mean, that doesn't make it right, but it was functional and there were homes. But if Paw had the damn Instagram feeds with women showing off their doubloons, he would have been losing his brain. And then your grandma, you know what I'm saying, who holds it down, all that stuff, he ain't got time for what's that, Shirley no more. And so he's moving on because he see Betsy over there and she got the new enhancements. And on top of that, bro, she sent me DMs, you know what I'm saying, with her chastity belt off. So people would have been going hammer back then, like what's going on now. These phones or social experiments have really changed the trajectory of how humans cohabitate.
Yes.
And so what's going on here is this Miss Bündchen she's a representation of a lot of options because she's a Brazilian model, supermodel, who's a billionaire or whatever, a billionaire family or whatever. So she's got options and she exercises them. So the same thing goes with this girl who, with the advent of Facebook and stuff like that, still got her high school, middle school dude that she miss or whatever, whoop-de-whoop, or the guy from college or whatever dude that's one phone call away. And I mentioned this before on another thing. I've been the one phone call away guy before.
I have too. Yep.
Yeah. I'm one phone call. I'm gone for 4 months. Not a text, not nothing. But when she put the bat signal up, yeah, bro, I got my grappling hook. I'm swinging from rooftop to rooftop. I'm over there, lickety split. I'm out of there. I don't even spend the night. And this is what's going on everywhere. So my whole thing is that when you got this madness going on nowadays, trust is honestly, to me, in any relationship, right, at this point, trust is like the big thing floating over everybody. Are you gonna stab me in the back? You gonna stab me in the back? I don't really trust you. I don't really trust you either. It's these shadowy things going on with people. Nobody trusts nobody. So in turn, it gives them the excuse to do whatever the fuck they want. And people get married under those conditions. That's why divorce rates are that's what's going on right now. So Gisele, she represents a woman with a lot of options, but she doesn't have, the everyday woman doesn't have the Gisele Bündchen, options, but she's got a lot of options in her phone, dating back from middle, high school, college, work, last job, and options are there. You act funny, she's gone for 2 days. You don't know where she went. You know where she went. So yeah, man, this is the way of the world. And it even happened. Yeah, it even happened to, like we said, bro, Captain America, bro. Football Jesus. They can't get enough of this man, and it still happens. So yeah, guys, just put your precautions in place, man. As you mentioned, JV, bro. If you've got standards, bro, stand on them. If she don't know what your respect boundaries are, that's fine. Draw them out for her. You know what I'm saying? If it's a trial by error thing, all right, well, here it is right now. Now you know. I wasn't born yesterday. Please don't try me. And if they try it, she for the street.
Yeah. I really do believe that it's because of things like this that things like polyamorous relationships have been on the rise. Because really what all a polyamorous relationship is I want to be able to benefit from the structuralized idea of belonging to a relationship. However, I still am able to do whatever I want.
Right.
And that's all it is all it is a roundabout way to put a proper label on one's opportunity to do whatever they want, despite the fact that they claim to be a part of a relationship. Because
Right.
the idea is, if everyone is on the lookout for the next opportunity, or if everyone has all of these options, and so therefore there is no sanctity in it, then how can I emotionally guard myself against the inevitable fallout? Well, let's be polyamory, so that, hey, if anything goes left, I already have my other boyfriends and girlfriends anyway. So who gives a
Correct.
shit? Like,
Correct.
that's the only reason why these things are even on the rise, is because everything is in a state of chaos. But the world likes it this way, apparently. So it is what it is. I guess we just got to live with it. Um, but yeah, I mean, I just think that respect is a huge thing, and boundaries have to be respected. It
Yep.
does not make a man insecure if he has a preference for his lady to not have a male trainer. I don't see what the problem with that is. And, like, all things considered fair or equal, if you want to run out there and get you a male trainer, then can I go out there and get me a badass female trainer? Can I? Because if you can do that and I can do that, even though there ain't going to be no trust, that's the only way that it's going to be remotely sustainable, is if it's equitable. But we all know it cannot be equitable. So I don't know. It's interesting, but it sucks, man. But it happened to Brady. It can happen to anybody. And at the end of the day, I don't think that it's a shot across the bow for any guy to be like, male trainers, that might be a little bit beyond my level of comfort. But in today's world, that's going to be misconstrued as a man being controlling or insecure or any of these other buzzwords that get thrown around all the time, unfortunately.
Mhm. Pig. That's what you are.
Yeah. I know one thing. I know I couldn't have a female trainer if I was with a girl. She'd be like, no. I remember one time, real quick, I was in the gym. This girl comes up to me asking me workout tips. Literally, benign as ever. I was just giving her workout tips. And I was like touching, because she wanted to ask about the back, right? Because I was doing a back workout. And so she was asking me questions because my back is not too bad. So I'm kind of, giving her little tips. And uh my girl, just at the time, she just wasn't having it. She wasn't having it. Well, it's not that she wasn't having it, but we had a constructive conversation afterwards. And
Oh,
she was
wait,
like,
wait,
well, women, what
wait.
do you, what?
Was your girl there?
Yeah, she was in the gym at the time. Yeah.
Did she
Right. Yeah.
was she next to you? Your girl was next to you?
The girl who was asking me for the tips.
No. Your girl was
Well,
your
she
girl.
was not next to me,
Oh,
no.
okay.
But
I'm
she
about
was
to say, that's
watching.
really bad. I'm about to say,
She
bro,
was
what you
watching.
doing?
But in my mind, I'm doing the same thing they do, because they're
Yeah.
like, oh, he's just my trainer. It's not a big deal. What's the big deal? So I was like, I was just giving her tips. What's the big deal? It's not a big deal. They do the same thing. So I was giving her tips, and we had a lively conversation afterwards. And my point behind it was, what's the difference between that and when you tell me that you get free food whenever you go to breakfast every morning?
Uh,
From the guy who's the kitchen and the guy
uh,
who's the cook in the kitchen. You tell me every other day that this guy walks out of the kitchen to hand deliver you food that he doesn't even make you pay for. You don't think that guy wants you? And for you, and mind you, she told me these things on a regular basis. This guy came into the office and he bought me a bottle of wine. How nice. This guy never charges me for breakfast when I go to get my breakfast and my coffee. He's such a nice guy. This guy brought me gourmet popcorn. What a nice guy. And I'm like, oh, they brought you all of that and they're just nice guys, huh? But I can't give out training tips without getting scolded. What's the difference? It's a clear double standard. But the world operates on double standards that in certain ways benefit women in a lot of regards.
So that's the play, huh? That's what I gotta do. I gotta get some popcorn, some flavor of popcorn. That's the play.
Yeah, bring her flavor popcorn, and just check in once every couple weeks. Check in once every couple weeks, and see where it
Boy.
takes you.
Y'all something else, boy. Y'all, I was saying, bro. And this is the last thing I'll say. if and when, you know what I'm saying, I have to have a conversation about respect, I don't judge the dudes at all. That's how far I just throw them away. They're going to do that. There's no, like you said, there's no code. I know they're going to do that. So whenever they do that, my issue isn't with them no more. So that's why I try to have the conversations in-house and lay the lines down here. And yeah, I got a pretty good imagination. So I'm drawing lines that you haven't even seen yet. Just so we don't have to do the, I ain't know that. Yeah. Now you know. But yeah, man, it's wild stuff. But I let the dudes in the streets have it. They're animals. So when animals do what animals do, I don't blame them. It was me for dealing with the girl who went for that or whatever. But I let the dudes have it because I already know those guys. Boy, that the nerve of those people bringing her food.
Yeah, like he wouldn't take advantage of that if he had the opportunity. It's ridiculous, but these are real conversations that I've had with women before, and it just kind of shows you the thought process with some people. It really is. It's very fascinating.
Wow.
Yeah. And so this should come as no shock to anyone, but a recent study showed that the longer you put your children behind screens or technology or devices, the less their vocabulary will be. Is I guess the takeaway behind this. More screen time leads to smaller vocabulary in children. So there is a recent study that's been done that kind of shows increased screen time can lead to smaller vocabularies in kids. This is an interesting one because we like to talk about mind control and conditioning through entertainment and the consumption of media on this channel on a semi-regular basis. I think that's a nice, succinct way to sum that up. So here to provide a little bit of context here. So this says more screen time leads to smaller vocabulary in children. Study finds. So toddlers who spend more time on electronics could have worse vocabularies than children who spend less time, an Australian study has found. The observational study led by Telethon Kids Institute Senior Research Officer Mary Brush found the average 3-year-old could miss out on 1,100 adult words, 840 vocalizations, and 194 conversations per day from spending time on screens. For the study, Fitbit-like devices were fitted onto children for over 2 years, measuring the amount of electronic noise and parent-child talk the child was exposed to over 2.5 years. So is this the one that had? This is the one that had the news story, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, we'll check out this clip real quick because this sums it up.
From the makers of Tillamook presents Blood Rams. Cheddar so tasty it inspired this too.
I can't stop double dipping.
And this is the one. This is the one tab where I forgot to run the ad first.
Hey, bro, it's all Gucci, bro. I need cheese anyway.
Screen time. There's no judgment here. Switching on the TV, iPad, or phone can keep them entertained while you fire off a few emails or just get a few minutes peace to have a coffee or take a shower. But a study of 220 Aussie families has found the more screen time a child has, the fewer words they're exposed to. Researchers from the Telethon Kids Institute used Fitbit-like devices on children aged 1 to 3 years old to record their screen time use, as well as the number of interactions and conversations in the family home. Without telling their parents that's what they were measuring to get a more accurate result.
Our research showed that for just 1 minute of screen time, children were hearing 7 fewer adult words, they were saying 5 fewer words themselves, and engaging in 1 less back and forth conversation with their parent.
That means if a child were to watch an hour of screen time a day, they're missing out on around 400 words spoken by their parents and 300 of their own words and sounds. However, the average screen time for 3-year-olds in this study was closer to 3 hours a day. Let's face it, technology isn't going away, but researchers say there are ways to minimise the impact, like watching shows together and using them as conversation starters once devices are switched off.
Yeah, maybe if it was 1999.
Right, bro. Not happening.
Yeah. So yeah, this study, so there's all of these. This study is basically showing children with lessening abilities to vocalize and maintain an extensive vocabulary, so on and so forth. I'm sure this comes as no surprise to you, but I'll let you expound upon your take on this particular story.
Yeah, man, I don't believe, like you mentioned, bro. I don't believe this as much as a surprise to anybody. But the great thing about it is that we have some empirical data now. At least from this study here, where as of recently, so they did the study for 2.5 years and came up with these numbers. The interesting thing about this, of course, they're children, so we're dealing with the development of the brain and talking and things of that nature, vocabulary. So that's great. But the one thing that I would like to do is extrapolate this study to just the human brain in general. And I think that the average adult is grabbing them a lot more than, 3 hours of screen time of television, phone, tablet, and whatever combined within a day. And I think what's going on here, what we've witnessed on the internet with bad grammar, a lot of short speak, like this is 1984, or we're witnessing the decline of brain. And people that's not really even having, basically people that are illiterate thinkers. And the reason why they don't have the ability to think is, I think it's too many viewed hours, too many video games. This has just become the way of life from people, is to unplug, unwind. First thing to do is turn on a device. So this is interesting to have a study that actually shows the atrophy that a child has for just having more screen time than a child who didn't. So I would argue that the same levels or the same type of mental atrophies happen to adults or adolescents, everything in between, if they spend a little bit too much time on these devices, which again speaks to how we mentioned, I mentioned it earlier about how the things that we consume also, mold our thoughts. Well, if it's also limiting your speech, because of limited vocabulary and these AI generated scripts they're writing nowadays, there's not really much that somebody can gain from this entertainment anymore. So I think with the declining quality of content that's being created, professionally, because independent small people still try to do their thing, but from the large corporations disseminating their stuff, we're not seeing the same levels of quality or dedication coming through with their entertainment. And I would say that for people who strictly indulge, or people who indulge a little bit more than they should in entertainment, is somehow, some way limiting themselves by engaging with these types of things. So I guess letter of a recommendation, man, because when I saw this, of course, again, it's pretty obvious that, get your kid off the tablet if you want to see them grow. But it's another thing to look at yourself in a way, like I did when I saw this, and said less screen time, more word time. So what about you, sir? What are your thoughts on this study showing that the more screen times minors have, and it's a significant number, the lack of words that these kids have?
Yeah, those numbers did seem bit large. Like I'm not very familiar with studies of this nature, so I have nothing to compare it to. But just on the surface, they seemed kind of big. Those numbers. Yeah, this is not surprising to me at all. But it's also not new. I think with each evolution of technology, the adults who are already adults during the time when that evolution takes place, they are going to give birth to future generations of humans that become further neutered. So with each passing generation, there is a new iteration of neutering that is taking place. So, like for us, I can't read a map. You know what I'm saying? Like if I need to, like, if GPS went down and I was in the middle of the country and I find my way to the next state because I'm driving cross country, I'm gonna have to stop and ask somebody literally for directions, and they're gonna have to tell me road by road how to get to my destination, because without GPS, I'm dead. I can't read a map. So like my parents' generation had to understand roads and maps and signs. We didn't. We got the GPS thing. So I literally tell Siri where I need to go and she gets me there. Now, has that afforded me with a luxury that makes navigation easy? Sure, but has it neutered me as a human? Yes. Because if you take that technology away from me, I cannot give myself directions. So it's a pros and cons thing. And you have to evaluate whether the pro is worth the con in the event that the con rears its ugly head and you have to survive. Right? So all of these technological advances are under the pretenses that we will never be in a scenario in which we were going to have to figure out how to survive without them.
Mm-hmm.
But this is nothing new, because each iteration of new technology produces the next generation of neuter humans. So, smartphones ridded us of the need to understand how to navigate, how to read maps. We don't really need to be able to spell words anymore because we've been had Microsoft Office, which gave us spell check. We had all of these different things like spreadsheets and whatever. We can enter in formulas. So that takes computation out of the picture. We don't really need to know how to do you still, like, I literally had to sit down a couple days ago and create a long division problem on a piece of paper to see if I still remembered how to do long division. I had to do that because I would like to know that if we got hit with an EMP and I needed to do long like if we got hit with an EMP and I needed to do long division on paper,
For whatever reason,
to have that skill. And
sure.
if it's a long enough equation, I might not be able to figure it out because I've forgotten it. I've atrophied myself mathematically and in terms of reading maps and all of this other stuff. So these new humans walking around out here, they're atrophied even further. They use dating apps and other tools of that nature, further atrophying their social skills and their personable skills. You got men out here who don't know how to communicate with women in person because if they're not doing it on a phone when they can text everything, they don't know what they're actually doing. That's a form of social atrophy. We talk about social atrophy on this channel. So this study on vocabulary is just another component of said neutering that we are willfully undergoing as a result of accepting all of these technologies. You get a Kindle, yeah, sure, you're still reading a book electronically, but the practice of being able to make notes and do highlights and flip pages, and I know that you can do that to a certain degree with a Kindle or whatever, but there's an aspect of that traditionally that you're losing out on by not reading an actual book. And so there are examples of this that are limitless. We can literally go down the list on this stuff. Vocabulary is just one of the many examples. I get it. Even activity, physical exertion. Kids, a lot of the younger generations are replacing the hours that used to be spent doing actual physical activities on machines. What does that do for physical fitness and health? What does it do for nutrition? So this thing runs deep. It's more than just vocabulary, although that is a part of it. But we have been seeing this now for, I would say, the last 30, 40 years. It accelerated in the mid-90s when the internet came along in 1995. We're the first generation to receive such a form of atrophy. I need to learn how to read a map. I do need to know how. I want to be able to know that if I'm driving cross country and I do not have GPS, I don't have a signal, that I can whip out a map and get myself to my destination. Right now, I cannot do that. I can't. And that to me is a viable skill that humans benefit from more than not. So the vocabulary part is a part of it, but there's more and more and more of these things. And I do fear for, the youth. Because if you take these things away from them, it's almost like they're a lemon. They can't do anything. And the last thing that I'll say is I was pleasantly surprised to read a story. I don't know if you saw this,
Hmm.
but I read this story. I thought about using it as a topic here, but apparently Bumble had to lay off 40% of its global workforce due to what they have seen is a decline in the use of dating apps among Gen Zers. So apparently, Gen Zers are moving away from dating apps, and the only people who are actually using them is us and people older than us, like Gen Xers. But it's mostly millennials who use dating apps because Gen Zers are finding the impersonal nature of dating apps to actually be an impediment to successfully dating. I was pleasantly surprised by that. I was pleasantly surprised. So hopefully we see more examples of that, because the more that we lean on device time, the more neutered we become, for sure.
I agree 1000%, man. Yeah, it is across the spectrum. My concern with vocabulary, because you're right, it's across the spectrum, but my concern with vocabulary is that it's so closely tied to behavior. And a lot of the stuff that we're witnessing right now is, the behavior of people. Not, people with big vocabularies do crazy stuff too, but what I noticed, especially growing up, the people that didn't have an extensive vocabulary got violent faster. They did other things, and my concern about this, long term, I honestly already think we're witnessing, the byproduct of, for sure, of this effect, just with regular internet, not with this tablet stuff. We'll see when the tablet babies hit the market. But yeah, it's a wild scene, man. I don't know what this is gonna spell for the future, no pun intended. But yeah, man, don't like it, but it's good to hear a study that verifies, what you kind of already assumed anyway. So if anybody got some rigmarole to tell you, like, oh, that's just, hey, man, there's studies on this, man. Get your kid off of that garbage.
Yeah. Leave monitor it or something, for
Yeah,
sure.
monitor it. Yeah, and limit it for sure.
Yeah. No, man, you can't convince me. I don't think anyone with half a brain would disagree that it's having a tremendous effect. It is. I just think with each generation, we're becoming more and more neutered. And there is something to vocabulary too, because effective communicating, and I've mentioned this as well. That's a skill, and when you are devoid of that skill, you can't effectively communicate certain things. You can't effectively express what you got going on. It can lead to things like violent outbursts and things of that nature. I'm not saying that I'm not arguing causation in any kind of way,
right,
but I am arguing correlation for sure. Because effective communication is a skill. It is, and it clearly is a skill that everyone doesn't possess in a tremendous amount of abundance. And so it stands to reason, if there was a greater emphasis on people developing their own personal communication skills, would there be less fringe behavior, I guess? And I think that that's a very valid question.
Yeah, fair.
Monitor that tablet time, man.
Yeah, but
unplug.
But y'all can hit like and subscribe.
Yes.
Watch as many hours over here. You know what I'm saying?
And so we have an artist here, Miss Summer Walker, hip hop / R&B artist, and recently her manager, right, decided to kind of chastise fans for not giving artists safe space to be artists. Summer Walker's manager feels as though fans and people who are quick to jump onto social media and the internet to opine on the work of artists and all that kind of stuff, try to have it both ways, where they want to demand that an artist make good stuff, but then also want to criticize an artist when that artist attempts to make good stuff. And the manager is sticking up for Summer Walker and I guess other artists in her position, because he feels as though fans need to give artists the respect and space of being creative and being an artist. So I think it's been a bit of a minute since we touched on a music topic here. So we'll go ahead and provide a little context real quick. So this article from Hip Hop DX says Summer Walker's manager calls fans out for harsh criticism of artists. They need space. Summer Walker's manager, Justice, has admonished fans for taking their favorite artists to task in the comment section on social media and not giving them their necessary space to create their art. Walker's manager took to social media on Wednesday to excoriate folks who leave nasty comments on such platforms as Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. So there's a quote here, but we'll play his video. He blah 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 blah. Earlier this month, Summer Walker had a fangirl moment when she discovered that Boosie Badass met her mom. That's kind of unrelated to the topic. Oh man, so I forgot that we have a new rule on the channel in which we don't play embed Twitter videos because they tend to be a little screwy whenever we try to present the tab. So here's Miss Summer Walker's manager, Justice, who has an issue with fans who comment on the work of artists because he thinks artists need space. And apparently he thinks fans are not giving these artists nearly enough space.
Like, I see all the complaints of, fans and consumers basically saying, oh, everything sounds the same, or yo, I'm not feeling this, or like, when y'all gonna get tired of like listening to the same thing? Social media has like made everybody lack accountability. And I'm not saying this is all on one side, but it's a two-way street. I saw a video of Playboy Cardi wearing a mask, and I see the comments and like, oh, who does bro think he is? Like, he just thinks he's like, so and so. And I'm just like, you guys have to let artists be artists. That's the reason why we like them. You have to let artists want to try shit. You have to let them want to be weird. You have to let them want to use their imagination. And if they're not getting to use their imagination, things are gonna feel stale. Things are gonna be repetitive, as versus, giving them that space and really letting them be them. I think that artists need that space. They're scared to try shit because they don't want shit to, come back and the comments be bad. And then now you're getting the same shit over and over again. They need space. They need confidence. They're artists.
Are you buying any of that?
Yeah, you kidding me? So here's my thing. So now I'm not really a Summer Walker person. Not to say that I don't like her. I just, new people music. I'm sorry, I don't know. But from the stuff that I've seen that she does do, she does seem pretty chill, I think. So I don't have an issue with that. Now, when it comes to what he's saying as far as allowing artists to be artists, I do agree with that sentiment. For the mere fact that what the music industry has become is more of a supply, because apparently there's an unlimited demand. So with streaming services and other platforms where you're not really getting paid per spin or album sales anymore, there's a whole nother market going on out there where you constantly have to be touring or constantly releasing new things to keep the streets fed. So there's a culture now that has begun, and who I'm gonna blame for this? Outside, what artist I'm gonna blame for this? So as far as the music industry is concerned, like, it really went off the rails with streaming services. Trying to feed that beast, it's a perpetual thing, and everybody has a short attention span nowadays when it comes to music, real disposable. But the artists that I blamed back then was Jay-Z for this. I did, because I think there was a normal cadence of once every other year.
He put out an album once. Between Reasonable Doubt and the Black Album, he put out an album every year.
Yeah. And that
Yeah.
wasn't the normal cadence for an artist back then. It was an album was always considered a project. So if somebody dropped something this year, 2001, you know what I'm saying? I'm not really expecting it in 2002, you know. Or if somebody came out with something in 97, I'm damn sure not expecting something in 98, you know. So it wasn't, or, you know, Master P and them was doing all that, but that was mixtapes. But when it came to like mainstream albums, then it became a thing, a bar set of how good are you as a rapper if you can't come out with an album every year? And this guy's not just coming out with albums every year, he's coming out with classics every year. So then it became a thing of, I got to be able to keep up with this, you know. It's kind of like Steph Curry with it, you know. And it's like, hey, bro, I know y'all shooting deep, but y'all hitting from the logos with consistency? Now dudes want to pull up from the logo, if you get my analogy there. So I feel like that's where some of that, it went away from giving people a project to, hey, I got to feed the streets every year. Then mixtape culture, then blah, 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 blah. But then streaming just threw it completely over the edge, in my opinion. Along with other forms of medium that people have now to consume content, people just ready for the next fix. It sucks if there's really an artist out there really trying to create something from the ground up and want the people to digest for a few months, or I'm not for a few months, for a couple years. I'm not too sure when Kendrick's last album was. You know, somebody can, you know, notify me in the chat, but
It
it's
was
still
2022.
2022. All right. So, well, you know, I guess, you know, I don't feel like he's coming out with something this year. So it might be something next year or whatever. But him, in my opinion, he has him and J. Cole, they have a more natural cadence, I feel. You know, not everybody can come up with 16s off the top of their head. So some people got it right. So with that, with having to go through life, with having to experience things to talk about, unless you're talking about the same thing you did last album, you see. So there's a process where there's, if an artist is really doing it the right way, a lot goes into it. And if people are trying to speed that up, then you're just going to get my last experience, because I didn't grow much. I didn't do much. So I do think that the artist should be artists. I think people need to fall back a little bit. And if you want that 5-star meal, you know, made with a, you know, Michelin star stove and chef and all that other good stuff, then allow them to cook that up for you. If you want some fast food shit, go hit a mixtape website or app or whatever. So I do think people need to relax and let artists be artists. Now, is that Summer Walker? Who knows? But Summer Walker fans, let me know. What about you, sir? What are your thoughts? Do you agree with the notion that artists need some space to be artists, or do you think that he's cooking up some excuse for his Summer Walker?
I agree with the general premise that artists need space to be artists. But what I don't agree with is artists are putting out repetitive, bad music because fans aren't giving them the space to be artists. That's what I'm not agreeing with. I think that a lot of artists are putting out repetitive music because they're not good. Like this stuff to me is not all that complicated. Now, Summer Walker, I feel like now I'm not too familiar with Summer Walker as an artist. I'm like you, I'm not too familiar with her. So I can't really speak to her specifically. But he brought up people like Playboy Cardi, and he was bringing in all of these other artists and generalizing it to make it seem as though I interpret it from what he was saying as artists are putting out music that isn't as good in quality, or it sounds repetitive. They're doing this because of the fact that they're playing it safe, because they feel boxed in and don't want to explore their creativity because fans are dictating that they don't have the space to be a creative artist. That's what I read from his comments. That I don't agree with. I think that that is wrong. And furthermore, I don't even think Summer Walker is a part of that, because based on what I've seen from some of her ratings and the stuff that she's put out, she's thought of in high regard in terms of her own music. So I think that the music community looks at Summer Walker as a legitimate artist with range and she makes quality music. But the rest of this stuff out here, look, man, no one is not giving Playboy Cardi the space to be an artist. If people call out Playboy Cardi for making repetitive music, it's because he's making repetitive music because he's not that good of an artist. Now, again, I don't know Playboy Cardi from a can of paint. I know a few of these songs that I've heard from him that are singles that get released on the radio. And yes, every time I've heard a Playboy Cardi song, they have sounded the same. Now, you want to try and convince me that that's because fans are telling him he can't do what he wants? I'm not buying it. I think he's making the kind of music he wants to make because he, as an artist, has no range, has nothing to say, and is by nature going to make repetitive music. Now, where I will agree with you is I think that the construction of the music industry due to streaming has created an environment where if you aren't at the top, so if you ain't Drake, if you ain't one of these people like that, if you ain't Kendrick, if you not J. Cole, Jay-Z, if you not DJ Khaled putting out a compilation, if you ain't Wayne and 2 Chainz, if you're not somebody who's so big that you can just release music at your own cadence and you don't have to be beholden to the way that you make money off of producing music, then yeah, you are at the mercy of the current climate of the music industry, which dictates that because of short attention spans, you got to be putting out stuff on a very regular basis. And of course, obviously, as a result, when you put out stuff super fast, the likelihood that it's going to be of quality isn't very high, especially if you as an artist aren't actually as good as some of these other people, as some of these contemporaries. The reason why Jay-Z was able to put out an album every year is because of how great he was at what he did. And he respected the art form as an artist, as a musician, as a lyricist. So he took it seriously and he actually crafted bodies of work in music. Like, I don't care how fast your life is. There's only but so much life you're going to live in a 365-day period. But the fact that Jay-Z was able to still put out quality work despite the fact that he's dealing with a limited window was a testament to his actual abilities and his approach to making music. Maybe if some of these artists took that same approach, they wouldn't get their work criticized the way that they do. I just think people are responding to substandard music from a quality standpoint. No one's saying, hey, new artists, we forbid you from having the space to be the kind of artist you want to be. No, they're just saying you're making trash. At least that's what I'm saying. I don't give a damn how long. I don't care how long it takes you to put anything out. If it takes you 3, 4, I don't care. It can take you 7 years to put something out. If it's good, it's going to be good. And if it took you 7 years and you put out something that's not good, it took you 7 years and they still gonna talk about you.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. They still gonna talk about you because you took all this time and you didn't put nothing out that's good. At the end of the day, you are either an artist or you're not. And I think what I think we are looking at with this music is the majority of these individuals are not artists. They just in it for the game. They in it for the things that being an artist can afford you. They have a machine behind them. They have a record label behind them, pumping their trash through, and they're going to keep feeding the streets, as you like to say, because they're not too big to where they can just do whatever they want and release music however often they feel like it. And they're not talented enough for their music to have a resounding impact, even if it takes them longer than average to put something out. So I'm just, like I said, overall, I agree with the sentiment that artists need to have space given to them and be respected to do what they do and craft what they craft, be as weird as they need to be as introspective as they need to be. Absolutely, I agree with that. What I am not buying is they're making this music that they are making because the community and the fans are saying, we don't want you to have your space. That to me is BS. It's like Coi Leray. Oh, I'd be an actual lyricist if the people wanted me. If the people wanted if the people wanted lyricism, I'd give you Missy Elliott if the people wanted Missy Elliott. I'd give you Lauryn Hill if the people wanted it. I'm giving you what y'all want. No, you're making what you want to make. You're making box rap because that's what you want to make. That's what you want to make. No one's forcing you to make that. If you want to be Lauryn Hill 2024, then do that. You'll get your respect. People will listen to it. When Kendrick drops an album nowadays, it's a big deal. Even in this day and age where everybody's trying to listen to, you know what I'm saying, Lil Baby and DaBaby and 21 Savage. When Kendrick is dropping an album, when news breaks that Kendrick is getting ready to drop an album, it's a big deal, is it not?
Yeah.
Okay, so what are we talking about here? So I hear, not you, but I'm just saying in general. So like, and the guy's defending his artist. I get that he's her manager. That's fine. If he feels as though she's been given undue criticism, you know, and he feels as though there is a particular kind of environment which is persisting, that is causing her to be boxed in. I respect him for feeling the way he feels and wanting to defend his artist. That's fine. But his statement overall, as it pertains to music and every artist, that to me is BS. I'm not buying it. If you're an artist, be an artist and make good stuff. And if you can't, it's because you suck. Period.
Now that's fair. Now I agree with that. So I guess more or less I agree with the notion that artists need their space. And but I do agree with you in the sense that we are witnessing lacks of talent nowadays. And as you mentioned, for the people that are talented, it kind of shows. It kind of, it's cream rising to the top when it comes to that. And the streets want it. Like I didn't know who Adele was. I didn't know who that was, but everybody's telling me about her. I'm like, okay, I don't give a shit. Oh, who's that? Oh, is this woman over here? And they showed me. I was like, oh, huh? Then I heard a song. I was like, oh, she got a voice, So I can see why people like that. Now I haven't dug into her catalog or nothing like that, but I get why people like her because she's got a voice and she be slinging that thing. So if there's actual talent out there, I do feel like the people have patience. That's what I was trying to say too. Like, yeah, like people have the patience for, whoop-de-whoop. But I do think that there was, Wayne didn't help it either. There was just a wave in the early, 2000s where, people were just coming out consistently with stuff. And it created this market of bad quality and artists weren't being artists anymore. It was just feeding the streets. So if he feels as though people, and I agree, bro, Playboy Cardi is not trying to be art. He's an industry plant. So he's not trying to be an artist. So if he is wearing a mask, trying to be incognito, it is a thing where it's like, who do you think you are? So, him, Yeet, any one of these other industry plants that they put out there, yeah, y'all not being creative and nothing y'all doing is new. So, but yeah, I reserve his comments for artists who are really, in their cave, really trying to craft up a masterpiece somewhere. Yeah, those people need their time. They need their space. And if it's space in a creative sense, if they're already talented enough, people are just going to get it. Ain't nobody give Prince shit about nothing.
Exactly.
They didn't give him shit about nothing. You saw how he was wearing, what the shit he was wearing, some of the shit he'll do. But it was like, bro, that's fucking Prince though. So, so people give shit a pass if your eccentric nature leads to awesome tracks.
Mm-hmm.
So that I agree with. So he might have to come a little stronger than that. I agree. He got me, bro. He got me with the one layer.
I just think if it's not good, then it's not good, man. Period. Like, like Killer Mike been around for how long? The first time now Killer Mike's been around for a long time. I remember the first time I learned who Killer Mike was on that The Whole World, right?
Mm-hmm.
Way back in the day. I don't even remember the album that it was on, and the whole world loves it when you. So that was like what, 2002, 2003. That's how long this dude's been around. This guy's been on Jay-Z songs. He's been on all kind of people's songs. And he finally got his just due at the Grammys this year, damn near 20 years after I even found out that he existed. And that's because he put music out. You know what I'm saying? And I just think that at the end of the day, the cream always rises to the crop. So I'm just not buying this stuff. That's another thing that annoys me about current music is we're trying to figure out ways to sugarcoat. We're trying to figure out so many ways to sugarcoat it so that we can make it not be bad. When at the end of the day, we just have to call it out for what it is. And I mentioned this before. You blame Jay-Z for that rhythm and cadence of releasing music. I've said this before. The journalism aspect of the music industry to me is the biggest villain in all of this, because they stopped holding artists accountable for quality of work forever ago. They stopped doing it because they don't want to alienate artists. And these artists are so sensitive. They're so sensitive, they can't handle constructive criticism. If you say something that they did is not the greatest, or they could have done this to improve it, they want to get offended. They're mad. They in their feelings. Now they don't want to come on the show. They don't want to give you no interviews. And so because these radio stations and these podcasters and these YouTube channels and everybody else in the music industry are so afraid to alienate the artists because of how sensitive they are, I would say 10, 15 years ago, they stopped being critical of the music. And when they stopped being critical of the music, that's when there were no more rules or standards or guidelines on how do we safeguard quality of music. So of course, everything is repetitive now. There's no check or balance on calling something out for being mediocre or not good or bad. We say everything that they do is good. Playboy Carti, not to keep banging on the guy, but he's the one who brought him up. Playboy Carti can put out an album next week. I guarantee you people will be calling it a classic.
Yo, yeah, those fans will go nuts for that.
Yeah, they'll be and it's like, come on, this is not a classic. Like, where's the standard here, guys? So, I hear what he's saying. I'm not buying that. To me, most of that is BS. And I don't even think it pertains to Summer Walker, because like I said, I don't think she's looked at that way. But most of these artists today, it's microwavable garbage. And that's an objective fact to me. It's not an opinion. This stuff sucks. Sorry, guys. The manager himself said it. He's just trying to find an excuse. He wants to blame fans for bad music. No, it's the artists, quote unquote. No one's stopping you from making the kind of stuff you want to make. Put out your music. Live your truth. If you're making repetitive music, it's because you want to.
Facts.
Not buying it. Sorry. Shouts out to Summer Walker and her manager, Justice. Yeah.
Yeah, shout out Summer.
Yeah.
Like and subscribe.
Yeah. Hit that button, man, for real. Okay, man. Last up, we are going to talk about speculative surge pricing in fast food establishments. This is an economic topic. We touch on economics through various contexts on this channel, but this is an interesting topic here, and apparently people are lashing out at a proposed move by Wendy's to institute surge pricing in its stores. For anyone who is unaware of what surge pricing is, it is the practice of hiking up prices during times when the product that you deliver is at its highest demand. So for anyone who does ride sharing, if you've taken an Uber before and you've noticed that between 6 p.m. and 8 p.m., if you try to get an Uber, you're paying $50 for the same ride that on a Monday morning you're paying, $12 for. And the idea is this is the period of time where the most people are doing ride sharing. And so because this is where most people are doing it, these vendors take advantage of that and take advantage of people, jack prices up so that they can make money on it because the service is in its greatest demand at that time. And apparently, the idea of instituting this with fast food is being proposed, and it is being proposed through Wendy's, and people ain't having it. And there's some backlash. So this article here says, bad move, fume Wendy's customers over surge pricing as some begin boycotting store despite CEO's explanation. Wendy's is facing continued fervor over a recent announcement the chain would implement dynamic pricing, better known as surge pricing. After the news broke, the company backpedaled, saying it had no plans to raise prices during busy times. Yeah, right. Wendy's has not said it will raise its prices and blamed the controversy on a misunderstanding. Wendy's CEO Kirk Tanner hinted at dynamic pricing at a February earnings call where he announced an investment in new menu boards that would allow prices to change during certain times of day. Surge pricing is best known as it's used in the travel industry. Airlines and companies like Uber use the scheme to change more when demand is highest. Tanner's announcement appeared to flag that such a system could be coming to the fast food chain as early as 2025. This announcement drew ire from customers fed up with years of price hikes across the economy. Since inflation has cooled considerably, many saw the potential change as price gouging. For its part, Wendy's said its plans were misconstrued in some media reports. Even though the company has since clarified its plans, outrage has continued to simmer. And all relevant links will be in the description of this video. You continue to read that for some of those reactions from people who are not happy with this proposition. I mean, the economy is in a state of wild, wild west at this point. So, very much like that vocabulary topic that we covered a couple minutes ago, this does not surprise me. But what do you make of surge pricing, or as they put it, dynamic pricing, which is a nice, nice way to phrase it, dynamic pricing. But
Yeah.
what do you think about the idea of dynamic pricing being instituted in fast food establishments?
I think now the backlash for sure. I think it's just one of those things where, first of all, I don't like it. I don't like the idea. And I think what they try to do here, much like how they try with everything else, whenever they trying to try it, man, kind of like in a relationship, man, kind of like we were talking about the Peyton Manning thing. It's like, it's one of those things where if whoever want to try you, get over on you, and if they know this is a crazy, wild concept, they'll try to play it, or one foot in, see how they took that, how they react to that. If they ain't say nothing, I'm gonna keep with the disrespect.
Yes.
And no different than that AI rapper that we had covered over a year ago. No different than the other scams that they be pulling. And this one to me was more of a let's see what they say. And the streets was not having it. And honestly, whenever you're dealing with, first of all, the quality of most fast food establishments at this point is laughable to me. So for them to be hollering ingredients, reason why things is costing, I call BS on that. But be that as it may, just the whole notion of surge prices at a restaurant, whether it's fast food or a major establishment, just think of the concept, bro. If you do go to that restaurant in town, that be hitting like that, it makes sense for that line to be that long. They might, who knows? I mean, hell, 2026, 2027, it's on the table. It's happening. My whole thing is I feel like them introducing this is just a thing of it's going to be here. Whether it's Wendy's or whether it's Target, they're going to find a way to surge your ass. It's kind of like with these video games now where everything's pay to play. You can't really do anything until you buy extra bundle pack or buy this or buy their coins. Like they're going to throttle you until you don't even want to play the game. And so it's the same thing. I'm pretty sure that same type of business model is going to carry over into food. So the reason why I found this topic so interesting is that I feel like this is a game being played on the masses. I feel like this was a social experiment trying to see, test the waters. Wendy's was the brave company to go out there and do it. But I'm telling you right now, surge prices, dynamic pricing is going to be, it's going to be a thing that we're going to see in the most uncommon of places. I'm pretty sure, small businesses are going to have some type of app where, on they little square thing, whatever they charge people, where it's like, hey, certain times a day we're going up, 1.5. Because this is my busiest time of the day. I need to come. So, hey, man, good luck, man. So my word of recommendation, if and when they ever do something like this, but honestly, guys, I really feel like home cooking it's always been the thing, but I really feel like home cooking is really where it's at right now. But yeah, if and when this ever comes about, you can count me out, bro. I'm not going to be partaking in any of this, because Uber and Lyft, if you were ever a driver, hell, even a passenger trying to catch during surge times, it's all cap. It's BS. And so yeah, I've been on both sides of the spectrum as a driver and as a customer. There's no checking their algorithms. There's no knowing when these things are going to spike. Hey, it's not really that many people in here. Yeah, I know, but this is the busy time of day.
Yes, correct. Yep.
So they're going to play you. So I don't like it. I hate all this AI generated, finesse that they're doing out here nowadays, but this is just the latest wave. So what are your thoughts, man? How do you feel about the concept of dynamic pricing going on at fast food establishments or hell anywhere?
Yeah, I largely agree. Coming from a marketing background, I know what focus studies, focus groups, the purpose of those are, and a lot of times when they put you in a room as a part of a focus group to test a product or a service, the final iteration of that product or service oftentimes is years down the line. So this to me was a focus group type thing involving an actual business as opposed to people or individuals. It's almost as if Wendy's was the individual sitting in the room in which the focus group is being conducted. So I fully anticipate that at some point in the future, this will be something that is in effect. And they just got to get the wrinkles out to figure out the best way to sort of roll it out, using the best language and the best ways technologically to make it as feasible and seamless as possible, so that you don't even realize that you are being dynamically priced. And I've been on, like, I've definitely experienced it with ride sharing, because I've taken flights, gotten off my flight, landed at the airport, and hailed an Uber to take me back. And I'm looking at the prices just to go 4 miles, and they want me to pay like $50. And the idea is this is the busy time. Yet, if it was really that busy, why do I have all of these options on my screen of rides that I can select?
Exactly, bro. Everywhere.
Intuitively, it doesn't make sense. If this is the busy time, that means that when I turn on my app, I should only have 1, maybe 2 options of rides that I can choose from.
Correct.
If I'm seeing 6 or 7 or 8 different options, you're really not that unavailable.
Correct.
So what am I paying for exactly? So I do think that this is, and this is the thing with these deregulated technologies, that the government hasn't figured out the most appropriate way to regulate and tax. And as a result, the people get the shaft. And trust me, I'm not the biggest government oversight person in the world, but I'm also somebody who believes that things need to be regulated. You can't just have deregulation out here, because then all these tech giants and these companies and these corporations are going to do is squeeze the shit out of the working class person.
Yep.
Why am I paying $50 for this Uber? There's 6 of y'all. This ain't surge. Why am I being dynamically priced? Look at all these rides out here. What busy time are you talking about? Intuitively, it doesn't make sense. That's why I'm with you. I holler BS as well. And then on top of that, though, here's the one thing that I will say about it. There's one circumstance under which I'm in favor of this, and one only, and that is if they figure out an effective way to institute dynamic pricing to the point in which they can raise wages for employees enough That it can, and I know that's why I'm saying it's not going to happen. It doesn't exist. It is completely pie in the sky. This is, of course, never going to happen. But that's what I'm saying. In a utopian society, in a perfect world, if dynamic pricing somehow, some way led to a way in which employees could be paid in a manner that is commensurate with the work that they put in these places, then I'll support it. Now, is it going to affect me directly? No, because I got out of the fast food game a long time ago. Like at this point, I may get it. Like, okay, so admittedly, if I'm on vacation and I'm taken out of my routine because I'm out of my element and I'm on vacation or out of town or something like that, the likelihood of me doing it increases. But if I'm in my general routine and I'm in and out of my office or my workplace and I'm in my base, you might catch me in one of those places once a month, if that. So I've gotten out of the fast food game a while ago. This is not going to directly impact me, but I will support it if you are going to tell me that dynamic pricing will allow employees to be paid in a manner that is commensurate with the physical output and the hours that they put into these places. Now, is that going to happen? No. That money is going to go straight to the top because these places are designed to not pay people.
Correct.
They are fast food. Fast food is perhaps the biggest instance of modern day slavery that I can think of. Now, there are others, grocery stores, department stores, in gas stations, right? So there are other places that you can work in that are tantamount, in my opinion, to modern day slavery. The greatest example to me, in my opinion, of modern day slavery is working fast food. No one except the operator receives compensation that is commensurate with the time that they put into that place. So if you're going to tell me that somehow can create a way for workers to receive that, I'd support it. But since that is, of course, not possible, I will never support this because without that caveat, all you're doing is squeezing working class people. And I hate working class people being squeezed. Even though I understand how capitalism works, I still can't stand it. So that's the only condition under which I will support anything like this. Other than that, I think it's all trash.
Yeah, agreed, man. It's just, to me, I just think it's good luck with the employees being paid. Employees getting paid their worth. Those days are over. So
they never existed to begin with, I would say. But
put it this way,
it's even worse now.
There was a finesse period in the tech world where people were getting paid to do nothing.
In fast food?
On fast food, no, never.
Yeah, okay. No. That's what I'm talking about, fast food specifically.
Yeah, fast food. Bro, you ever seen, I mean, just the times that I did go into McDonald's, within the last, 5 years or so. Or like a Whataburger or something. And I go in there, there's so many things. There's this contraption over here. There's that contraption over there. There's so much stuff going on. And I just get frustrated just standing there waiting for whatever. I can't imagine working in there, like being in there, like having to deal with the ice cream machine, cleaning this, doing that. Like, get the fuck out of here. So, yeah, man, that's just one of those jobs, man. I really feel like, that's why when I be hearing, oh, McDonald's people getting paid $17 an hour, what, to flip burgers? I'm like, hey, man, enough. It still ain't enough. It still ain't enough.
Not enough.
So, yeah, man. But yeah, they're working on that too. That's why part of this article too, they mentioned part of the, touch screen order menu part of their new thing. They're just, they're working on their self-checkout with that. So yeah, it's all part of their new rollout that less employees. Last thing I'll say is we didn't talk about it, but my dad had mentioned that Tyler Perry was talking about how he was about to pay for some studio in Atlanta, get another studio going to make more movies and whoop-de-whoop. And then he went to this conference or whatever, and he saw that app you had sent me where they were doing movie trailers and all that other stuff. And he heard that, bro, you can do all of this stuff at your desk. So then he was like, well, damn, I ain't gotta spend tens of millions of dollars on a studio no more. I ain't gotta. He ain't say this part. I ain't gotta pay the light people no more. I ain't gotta pay the, and that was the guy that was hiring the hood. So just imagine what Wendy's, their level of technology, all these other corporations and stuff like this. So all of these corporations are structuring, positioning themselves for 2030. Before 2030, things are going to be in motion. Cars driving themselves, all that. So what I would just tell the people, man, like, this is part of the writing on the wall. This is part of the tea leaves. So what can you do? Hey, man, just try your best out here. But just know that there's things going on out here, such as dynamic pricing. And just position yourself so you're not one of the people that's getting caught up in this cash grab. Because right now, I'm not even doing a video game thing. NCAA 25 is coming out, and I'm gonna get a PlayStation, bro. Like, I don't even have one. I'm gonna buy one for that. I can guarantee you they got some weird pay for play shit going on in there.
Yes.
I can guarantee you some shop where I gotta go get gear or whatever the shit. I hope not, but most likely it will. So
I can guarantee you that there will be.
And I can't stand it. So
and you're paying, mind you, you're still paying. And I read something as well that said video games are gonna, because what are they now? I think a video game now is $70. I think.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah. So I think video games are gonna start going to $80-$90 a piece. So you're spending almost $100 for a game, and then you're still having to buy DLC after you buy the game. You're still spending money on DLC after you spent that $70-$80 because it's become so expensive to make a game now because of the graphics and technology and all the stuff that they're doing, and the cost of development on games is so much. A damn video game, $80-$90. Video games are going to be $100 a piece soon, and you're still buying DLC on top of that. It's crazy.
Yeah,
it's wild.
Yeah. My thing is, I'm just gonna, I'm really gonna, I mean, for sure, things in moderation, but just taper down on this stuff, man, because everybody's taxing you and everybody's trying to take, 5 cents from you. But if you keep spending in all these places, man, you ain't gonna have nothing yourself. So just throwing that out there, man. They just, retracted their statement, which is all BS. But as we mentioned, this is a focus group, a focus study, and they're gathering their evidence, and they're gonna come out with a better plan next time. So
Yep. Well, they only retracted their statement because people were mad.
Right.
If people didn't get mad, they wouldn't be retracting anything. So, I think people are being squeezed. Just know how you're being squeezed, man.
Yeah.
Get on Pinterest, get you some recipes, and just start cooking them meals, man. Trade off, do what you got to do. It's whole meals that you can make. Take like 10-15 minutes to cook them. Easy stuff. Just hit them Reddit boards, Pinterest, message boards, all of that. Because, corporations are coming for your throat.
Boy, are they ever, bro.
It is unbelievable, man. So just, if you ain't ready for it, I'll suggest you get ready.
Word.
Shouts out to Wendy's.
Yeah, man. They dollar menu back in the day, boy. That was great. Yeah, shout out to old school Wendy's at least.
Right, yeah. And shouts out to back in the day when video games cost $50. I still have memories of that.
Oh, bro. I remember $30.
Yeah. But with that, man, we go ahead and we are going to conclude tonight's stream, man. Thanks to everybody for tuning in. Shouts out to the boy Marcus Dudley. He is a member of the tribe. Appreciate you tuning in, my brother, man. You are, as always, one of the most solid dudes that I've ever met in my life, man. Always appreciate having you here. Conscious Approach on Instagram at Conapproach, CONAPPROACH. JV Wins on Instagram, JVWINS. Like and subscribe. Leave a comment. Let us know what you think about the commentary in this or any other video, whether it is the stream or an individual video upload. Be on the lookout for Conscious Approach on TikTok. Regrettably, I got to do what I got to do. And be on the lookout for the RSS feed so that you can get the audio version of each of our episodes wherever you get your podcast fix. Until next time, thank you for watching. Thank you for the support, and we'll catch you on the flip side.
Yeah. The name is Dogon SS, not doggone it. You can find me on Instagram at Dogon_SS and on YouTube at Dogon_SS. Also on TikTok on Dogon_SS. I don't really make no videos, but my comments be going crazy. So if y'all follow me, y'all can see them comments I be dropping. That be going hammer. And as I say on every part, everybody, all right, don't be too high, don't be too low. Keep it calm, keep it chill, keep it player. And don't let anybody get you off your pivot. So until the next time, my peeps, I'll catch y'all on the next episode.
Yes, sir. Until then, we are out of here. See ya. Peace. And shouts out to even the people who don't like what we do, too. We love all y'all.
Hey, man. What will we do without the haters?
We love all y'all. Man. We out of there. We out.
Peace. Yeah.